Right folks, we're back for the coping stone wall. So that's the wall with the slabs on top, and this is based on the wall up at Wray Castle in up towards Ambleside. So hopefully you can see I've put some pencil lines in just to get the top of the wall. They're quite dark from where I'm sitting, but they might not look so dark to you. Let me see if I can change that a little bit. Hopefully that's made a bit of difference, rather than just put shadow everywhere. But anyway, so the colours that I've got are yellow ochre, and I've got some burnt sienna, some burnt umber, ultramarine blue, and then a grey. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this first, and this is being pulled out, if you like, with the credit card. Now because I'm using one of the washes that we did, there's already some colour on here and my paper's still a little bit damp. I don't want it soaking. I'm just damping down the area that will be the wall, and then I'm going to go straight in with the yellow ochre. Now these colours want to be a little bit thicker than how you would mix them for a wash. Now I'm just pushing this towards what will be the back edge of that wall, but otherwise I'm just chucking it on, for want of a better description. So, and I'm going to throw bits of this colour all the way through it. Then I'm going to pick up some of my burnt sienna, and again I'm going to drop this in. I do want to make sure that I've got a little bit of the darks towards the back edge and what will be the front. And then underneath that top stone, I'm going to go in with the burnt umber. Now all these colours are repeated throughout. The only reason for putting them in here is that it allows me to get slightly more defined edges on it if you want them. So again, where I've got the joins or where the slabs come across, I'm putting in some dark, and then I'm just going to drop some in, mix these colours up all the way down here so that I've got plenty of colour to move about in a minute. The blue goes in more towards the bottom because this is where you want your darkest colours, but again I'm going to add just under some of those coping stones. I need to get some shadows to come through if I'm going to make it look as though it's the wall. Then it needs to have these different tones in it. And then finally in with the grey. This is a natural mix grey, so it's from the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber. Again, I'm concentrating more of this towards the bottom, a little bit along the top there, just so that I've got some darks mixing in with it. And then I'm going in with my bit of a debit card. Now these are on a slight angle, so obviously if I pull my card straight, I'm going to get straight marks. So I'm going to pull my card roughly starting at the back and pulling it on the same angle that I've drawn those lines in, and I'm going to pull it until it reaches the edge, which is where we want to change direction. So here all the way across, just zipping across, and all I'm doing is I'm moving that paint, and you can see it's naturally leaving an edge. So now we're moving angles and we're going straight down, straight down, straight. And that gives me that impression of the coping stones with their edges on. Now I'm going to move and change my card and just use the corner bit, and it's that corner, not the whole thing, just that corner that's making contact with the paper, and I'm pulling it across underneath them so that it has this look of how the walls have been put together. I'm not moving all that dark out of the way because it's doing me a favour. So underneath these I've got another layer, but what I do now is try and make sure that when I pull this out, it's overlapping, so you're getting that brick look. That makes it look as though it's a stone wall. Now these get much bigger and quite often more rounded towards the bottom. So I'm literally using the card and giving it a slight turn as I pull it, so it gives it a more rounded, lumpy look. In theory, that should be enough, but depending on the wall you're looking at, you might want to go in with a finer or a smaller brush. I'm using, I think this is a number 4, could be a number 2, number 4. And all I'm going to do before this is any drier is I'm going to go back and I'm using Ultramarine Blue, and I'm just finding those crevices in the top of my coping stones and on the downward one. Now you can go back and add some darks in here if you really need to. I might put a little bit up there. You could go in and add some detail, but you've still got, if you've still got wet paint, just use that to move it around. All I'm doing is pushing more of these darks into other places, really. That's all I want to do. So where it's still damp, I'm using the damp paint. If your paint's already dry, then pick up some of your grey or your ultramarine. And I'm just making sure that I can see that there's some variation or some separation between some of these stones. More often than not, you don't really need to do that, but that gives me a half decent finish. I can go in and put a few little rough edges on there if I want to. And we'll call that done.